Alright, we're behind 414 North 5th, circa 1855 home of, can't think of who, some English guy who is reportedly to be fairly well off. And we're right next door to the old George Danforth mansion, which looks to be about the same period. Which explains why this house doesn't show up on the 54 map, because it's a year newer. Anyway, it's about 10 o'clock. Did I mention April 28th, Tuesday? And yesterday, late, I got permission from my new best friend, Joe Anderson. My best friend in high school was named Joe Anderson. And the new owner of this place is also named Joe Anderson. And the old Joe hasn't given me permission to dig any place promising or otherwise. So this Joe Anderson is my current new best friend. Makes sense, huh? Anyway, where that white flag is, I probed out something, 3 walls. I couldn't find a 4th. On that far end over there. It was just kind of weird. And then right near where I'm standing here, probed out a promising spot last night. This morning, not so promising. And then another spot back by the garage, which I think goes to the old neighboring house over here. I believe, because I think I'm standing right on the property line, which is right about equal to that second major tree trunk from the right. Actually, the first major tree trunk is the property line. So anything way over by that trash can behind there is originally to this property here. Originally, that garage was shown as a 2-story in the front, 1-story in the back. And I don't know what's going on with it now. It looks like it's been there for half of forever. And I've probed here before. The previous owner, David, gave me permission, but warned me. He said about 30 years ago some guys asked me, and I never did find out if they found anything. But the likely spots would have been near the garage, because on the old maps it shows where there were old sheds. Starting with right about here, there was one about to where that door is, and then there was 2 on a later map, one on the other side of that door, next to that one. And then there were a whole bunch of them, and then there was a garage right about here. So it seemed most likely it'd be around back there or on the other side. Then I remembered the 2 houses across the alley on the other side where I had dug a couple of summers ago. And the privies were right on the property line, about, closer to the alley than I am now, but still. They put the privies right on the property line and to each house, and there were like 3 to each house. There were like 6 privies. Boom, 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 back and forth kind of thing. That was kind of cool. So it got me thinking, so I came over here refreshed with where the property line was, and boom, I hit 3 walls over here anyway. So that's probably what I'll open up starting with first. And we'll go from there, see what happens. Alrighty, well, about 15 minutes into it, and I've already hit the corner of a stone-lined rectangle, it looks like. Looks pretty squared off in this corner here, which is a pretty decent sign, considering how large this thing seems to probe out to be. I'm saying like 4 by 5 square, I don't know. however far it is over to that flag and that flag. Anywho, I'm happy. All signs are go. Doesn't look like it's been dug. So the people that were here 30 years ago, I don't think found this. I think they thought like me, back by the old sheds and garages. Anyway, won't find a whole lot standing here over the whole gabbing about it. Gotta get to digging. Alrighty, well, after just 1 hour of digging, got this much dirt out of the hole, and we definitely have a square stone liner. My probe, my 6-foot probe, is stretching across the hole with maybe about a 4 or 5 inches shy of 6 foot long or wide. I'm not sure which. Haven't found the 4th wall yet. There is a little water line running near the surface that we're going to avoid for now, and just see what we find in this section. Yeah, so hopefully, who knows, by noon we may have bottles. So far just a few shards of nothing of historic significance, and a bone or two. Pretty common, especially for something this old. I mean, this puppy, this is old. This could be the only privy on the property as big as it is. You can kind of make out the stone line wall. And here's the corner to it. Right back in there. So we're happy. So far. Be happier when we hit glass. And even happier then when we find bottles. Yeehaw! Well, alrighty. It's high noon. Been at it for just about 2 hours. Down to the 5-foot level. Seems to probe down to about 9 or 10 feet. Looks like a lime layer at about 8 feet, so I'm about 2 or 3 feet from that. I did hit a small lime layer, and this little bad boy came out of there. It's a typical 1860s type medicine. At least that's the context in which I found these things. They're fairly identifiable. They got the round shoulders and the corner panels unembossed. A lot of times the lips are really crude on these things, but anyway, good sign. Found a few bones and a few miscellaneous pieces of glass. Nothing real identifiable yet, but anywho, we're having fun getting there. It looks like a grave at this point. I think to the right here it opens up, probably at least twice this width, if not 3 times. I think it goes almost as wide as it is long, so I think I'm only about 1.5 to 2 feet wide here, so yeah. I never did probe out that other wall, but hey, 3 walls are good by me. Gives me a damn good start. Anyway, I'm going to take a little break here, catch my breath, suck in some fluids, and get back to digging. Well, after 3.5 hours of digging, I believe it's time for me to take a break. That's my 6-foot probe leaning in the corner below the surface, and there's at least 3 feet more, maybe 4. It seemed to probe out to 9 or 10 feet deep. Definitely deeper than 8 foot. But what looked like lime initially, I think, is turning out to be cement, because I'm running into bricks. Bricks. Yeah, of all things. Not a lot of them. I'm still hoping there's a lime layer. In 3.5 hours of digging, I got 3 bottles. Best one being this Lubin Parfumer from Paris. Looks to be 1860s. It doesn't say A Paris, which are the older ones, I believe. And I don't know, the lip looks fairly old. Hard to tell. These European models, they made them old school for decades. And then I dug another small one of these 1860s style label only pharmacy bottles with the beveled corners and the rounded panels. And I don't know, these might be newer than that. The lips are awful clean looking. They look tooled, but I don't recall seeing any tooled top ones. Everything else looks kind of 60s. This stoneware, salt glazed stonewares, but you know, that could have been around for 20 years. This guy looks like a glue bottle. It's a little big for an ink, and that rounded band there kind of tends to give it away. But it was old, and it came up in the bucket. I never even noticed when I dug it up. And we're getting a bunch of bones, some good sized ones. Did hit a use layer down there about 5 foot, very narrow, very thin. So far that's where all the bottles are coming out of. So I'm hoping there's a thick one at the bottom with more bottles. But I gotta take a break now. I gotta go home and get a ladder, as you can see. I'm gonna need one. Past tense, I've been needing one. Alrighty. Well, alrighty. As far and few between these bottles are, I figured I better take a kind of a break and get an in situ shot of me pulling this guy out. Here we go. And it's a big nothing, probably. I don't feel any writing. Boo-hoo. Yeah, but it's whole. And it's down deep. It looks 1860s from the base, probably. 70s at least. Anyway. I've dug a total of, counting this, 5 bottles. 2 of them are those Lubin Parfumers. Actually, I dug a third, but it's got a big chip in the lip, so I'm not counting that one. But we still got a few feet left to go before the bottom. And we got a few feet to go that way. So, who knows? Well, we need to start the video with a new catchphrase. Yeehaw! Yeehaw! We're going to find something good today. I got the feeling. If not, it's not going to happen in here on any other day, I don't think. But anyway, I just had to start on something other than, well, alrighty. I get in that habit. Well, alrighty. Here we go. A little bit before 9 in the morning. Hope to have this knocked in the head by noon, hopefully. Or early afternoon. We already have 3 nice tarps full of dirt, far around as I can see. Got one side left open for dirt. But I'm running out of tarps. All I got left is a monster tarp. And I don't want to break it out unless I have to. And right now I don't have to. So here we go. Alrighty. Probably a plain old nothing. And I gotta see. I feel so. We have here an early J.B. Brown. I got one like this, but got a flat tooled lip on it. And this one, boy, is that crude looking. Huh. Early J.B. Brown, Hannibal Moe, 1860's, all day long. Sweet. Yeah. Well, it's not quite noon yet, and apparently I didn't hit the bottom yesterday because I just got done hitting the bottom, and it's actually lined with stone. Imagine that. So anywho, that's kind of cool, because at least there'll be no doubt when I hit the bottom. That being said, today everything that's coming out whole is unembossed, smooth based. Got 5 little ones there, and just dug up a pontiled broken nerve and bone liniment. So I was bummed about that, but hey, the day is young and so is the hole. But I am not. Yeah, this just came out of the hole. A little pontiled itty bitty guy. That's about as small as they get. Boy, that's not very big. A couple inches, 2.5 maybe. I think the only smaller one that I have is that little, it looks like an indelible ink that I thought was a stopper. This time I thought this was a worm. I was looking at it like this, and I was going to go fish him out and rebury him, and up pops a bottle. First time I mistook a bottle for a worm. Yeah, that's funny. Well, it's just barely a few minutes past noon, and I'm already hitting some interesting stuff at the bottom of the pit. That little pipe with the face on it I thought had a chip in it, but when I looked at it closer I realized the chip was glazed, so that was the way it was made. Very cool. And down in the hole I have what looks like a solid bottle. I'm suspecting it's a nerve and bone liniment. There was some nasty smelling blue stuff, kind of a bluish clay. I at first thought it smelled like gas, but I realized I was too deep for a gas line, so I'm thinking it's crud that oozed out of this liniment bottle. I'm hoping. I'd like to have a pontiled version of that. I dug a smooth base one couple of weeks ago in my neck of the woods, about 10 blocks away. You never know. So I'm going to climb down there and take pictures of it while I dig it out. Well, alrighty, there's the bottle that I thought was a liniment bottle, but now that I'm down here looking at it, it certainly looks like it'll be pontiled. Ooh, it doesn't want to come out easily. So, we will try to hold the camera in one hand while digging with my left. A little bit easier said than done. Oh, we got her loose. Out she comes, and It's a big one, whatever it is. It's... Wow. One I've never heard of, J.S. Mason. And then, I'm sure it's got a town on it somewhere here. Philadelphia. And I know, you can tell by these tops. If they look rather phallic, yeah, chances are there's a nice open funnel on the bottom like this one does. Yee! Very cool. Very cool. I'm guessing this is probably a cough syrup. It looks like a round-sided Dr. Wistar's. I bet you it's rarer. I bet it's more rarer. It's definitely cool and going in the truck. Yeah. Well, people often ask me, how do you know when you've hit the bottom of the pit? And usually, I tell them, it's when you're no longer finding bottles. Yeah, but that's really not true. What I always look for is the end of the rock wall here. And in this case, we actually have kind of a floor here. Some of it's rock, some of it is just hard clay. But it's definitely, I can't even get a screwdriver to stick hardly in this stuff. It's so hard. And it's clearly no place anybody's dug before. So that's kind of when you know. Now, a lot of these don't have that kind of a bottom. Sometimes they're wet, as we call them, full of water, or near a high water table source. So you always got to poke around for that wall and make sure that, like there, you're at the bottom of it. Meaning, we're just about done here. Knock back some of that wall back in there very safely and carefully. I don't think I have much to worry about, considering we've got quite a ways. Quite a lot of dirt hanging onto the walls up there. I don't think it's going anywhere. Not because I'm digging a foot out at the bottom. Hopefully, otherwise you'll be reading about this, or you'll be watching this after you dig my dead body out of here. I shouldn't curse myself, jinx myself. No, it's all good. It's solid as a rock. Alrighty, this is one of those deep pontiled pit era digs where you dig 10 feet down and you get 3 embossed bottles. Not counting the Lubin perfumes that came out, 2 or 3 of them. They don't count. These 3 count. This one, when I was digging it up, I was really thinking this was like a Wistar's Balsam of Wild Cherry competitor, but I discovered J.S. Mason was an ink company. Nice open panel on that. certainly best bottle out of the hole, value-wise. Really made the dig worthwhile for the most part. Even though I'm not a big ink collector, that comes close enough to looking like an early medicine to my eye. And then the ever-present Grown and Durhold. I think I've failed to mention before, Durhold is spelled with a D, which is misspelled. It should be a T, Durholt. On later bottles, when Grown left and left Henry Durholt on his own, he carved out new molds and spelled it correctly. Quincy, Illinois, once again, iron pontiled, common as all get out, but you know, pontiled is pontiled, you know, who can complain? If you do, the bottle goddess will get you. And one of my rare, and to me, J.B. Brown pharmacy bottles from Hannibal Moe. These only come out of, you know, Civil War or earlier pits, maybe late 60s. Typically by the 70s, the embossing with the city with the state below it, like that, below to the right, kind of went out of vogue somewhere in the 70s. And I swear I've got a shard that I found early on, and I've lost the shard, but I took a picture of it. I'll see if I can hunt it down. It just says Brown, and then there's a nice pontil on the end of it. And it's not Brown's, so it's not like one of those early Jamaica gingers with a pontil or something like that. And it was found literally across the street from where Brown's Pharmacy used to be. So, so far I have not ever come across a pontiled version of it, but they were in business from the 1850s. Anyway, and with a double collar lip on it, I think all I had found were flat lip versions. I think I got one more like that, but just slightly smaller. What was cool about this dig was the stuff that weren't bottles that came out. First off, this cool marble. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but it's like a flower, or I don't know what the heck that is. Marble collectors would know. And then it's got like a triple banded red line around the equator. I love marbles. And then this is the second pit that I've dug where I actually found an old photograph. This one you can't make out, but I've got another video where 3 different guys ended up in the bottom of the privy. Now, how bad of an actor do you have to be to have your picture entombed in a privy for all of time until I came along? And then I've dug a number, you know, dozens and dozens of pipes, but this one looks like Nefertiti or something. I don't know what's going on with this one. Nice yellowware type pipe with almost a sphinx face on it. And when I first dug it up, I kind of went, oh, too bad it's damaged. But then when you look real close at it, it's actually glazed. So that actually left the factory that way, and they must have worked around it somehow to make it, probably stuck the stem in extra far. Who knows what, but that's by far my coolest pipe that I've ever dug up. Then a mystery item. I love this. You end up with these mystery items. I am guessing this is some form of an inkwell of some type. I don't know how it works or worked. This was in the middle of it, which is a real heavy, solid chunk of pottery or porcelain, glazed, and it's got this hole in it. It goes down, you know, maybe a third of the way down in there. For what reason, I have no idea. But that was found down in the center of this thing. Yeah, sadly it's damaged, you know, the back rim is missing. And it's got these three little, what I'm guessing were like pen holders or nib holders, I don't know what. And then it's got this this weird little, you know, all I can imagine is that this is where the ink would dribble back into where? I mean, there's really, I don't get it. The whole thing is just kind of mysterious. No markings on the bottom, no nothing. So anybody else has any good ideas as to what it was, I'd be all ears. Speaking of all ears, this guy has two of them. A Staffordshire pottery dog with his little pup kind of embedded up against him, and the fur that you can see that's rough looking actually is rough in reality. It's like pebbly. And it's so cool. He's got his collar and his pup, and near as I can tell, it's in perfect shape. No markings, no identification. And I just love the heck out of him. And I've discovered that most of the time these things came in pairs. They would sit like opposite each other on a mantle or something like that. And I think they were anywhere from, you know, maybe a little smaller than this to pretty good size, larger sizes. And I think it was some form of prestige, or, you know, monetary influence. Oh, you've got a Staffordshire set of dogs on your mantle or something. Anyway, that was pretty much it. 10 feet of digging. It's a good thing I don't have x-ray vision and can see to the bottom of the pits before I dig them out, because a lot of times I wouldn't. This might have been one of those times, except for the J.S. Mason ink bottle. And the Staffordshire dog, I like him too. So there you have it.